Hello and welcome. My name is Barry Good from the London School of Business and Finance, and we're here today to talk about marketing management and in particular marketing in the global context. It's my pleasure to introduce our expert panel today. We have with us Andrew Lancaster, who's the MD from Zywan, and Louisa Mazinta, who's the CEO of MarketingSite.com. So if we start with introductions first of all, Andrew, perhaps you can go first and tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, you've said it all really. I am the Managing Director of Zywan. We're a digital marketing agency based in the north of the country, but we have a national presence, and that's me.
Thank you, Louisa.
Hi, I'm Louisa Mazinta. I am the CEO of the MarketingSite.com, which is an online marketing resource, and I consult. We build lots of websites for large corporates, and I also lecture at business schools.
Thank you and welcome. So today we have been looking at the case study of Dyson and their development of brand and penetration into global markets. And first and foremost, I think it's probably useful just to talk a little bit about the difference between national marketing, national presence, and pursuing a global strategy. And we are seeing the move towards increasing globalised markets. What do you see as the main differences or the main challenges facing companies as they move towards a global strategy? And if I ask that question to you, Louisa.
Well, on the one hand, the world is flattening in that we're becoming a much more global world, and certainly the internet has created a lot more access to markets. But on the other hand, every single market has its own factors that make it a very different and a very difficult environment to take a common approach. So you need to be able to look at each market as an individual market for the products and services you have, and to identify where the customers in those markets actually want your products and services and how best to communicate the features and benefits of those.
Okay, thank you. Andrew, what are your thoughts?
Exactly right. I mean, it's all about research in that marketplace. It's understanding that what works in one country isn't necessarily going to work into another country. So, what we need to do is focus on our market research, understand our target market, understand the demand for our supply, and make sure that we sort of tailor our marketing to that market.
Okay. Now, in the case of Dyson, they've had phenomenal success both in the UK and in the US, and yet it appears they've not had to change their product offering too much. They've managed to penetrate those markets quite satisfactorily without really altering their marketing strategy. How have they been able to do that?
I mean, I think personally it's down to an innovative product. The product itself has always sold itself, as it were. It's that innovation that Dyson have always had that's allowed them to be where they are.
I think Dyson, when they launched in the UK and then moved into Europe, they relied heavily on word of mouth, and it's very much because the product was so innovative and they priced their product at a premium because it delivered on what they promised. Entering the US market, however, was a very different kettle of fish. The US market is a much more of a broadcast market. It's a very large market, and to try and penetrate that market quickly, they needed to go in with a different strategy. So they used traditional above-the-line media and a traditional marketing campaign, an advertising campaign, to enter that market.
Okay. Andrew, would you say that Dyson have just been lucky in the fact that they were in the right place at the right time when they decided to enter the US market?
No, I don't believe they were lucky. I think, again, the product stands on its own 2 feet. It's an innovative product, and the marketplace was ready for it. They needed to have a high level of marketing budget because we've seen that that's what the US require. The word of mouth sort of approach that they had in the UK wouldn't have worked in America purely on scale alone. Forget the fact that they demand that we market to them in a different way. The sheer size of the country, word of mouth wouldn't have worked. So I think as we were entering a sort of a global recession and households were retracting back into the house, it stood them in good stead.
Okay, Good. Louisa, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I believe, yes, there might have been, in terms of timing, it was probably a good time for them to be entering that market, but I think you make your own luck. I think that certainly they had the right product at the right time, but the way they went to market, the way that they identified that the US market required more and a different approach to what they chose in Europe and the UK was very strategically done. Yes.
Okay, good. Andrew, what do you think the main considerations are for any company that's perhaps been successful in their home nation, their home country, but now feel under pressure from globalization to perhaps pursue a global strategy? I mean, what kind of caveats or preparation should a company embark on before pursuing a strategy like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to something that we touched on earlier, and it's just how important market research is. It's about understanding the country that you're looking to market yourself within and sell to. You can't go into a country with making assumptions that what you've been doing in your existing territory is going to work elsewhere. You have to understand the culture, the values, the needs, the wants of that particular market. If you don't do your research, it's sort of a wing and a prayer, and you just can't do that. Yeah. There's no way that one marketing approach that works in a particular country is going to work on a global scale. You have to do your research, strategies based on fact, not assumption.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there's an imperative for businesses today to look beyond their own borders. Certainly, where growth is an absolute requirement for businesses in today's economy, there's always a ceiling to growth within your own country. So you need to look external, but you need to recognize, exactly as you've said, that it's not going to work the same in every single market.
Yes.
So do your research, speak to local people, find local distributors and agents, and define what is the best way to enter the market and what is the best way to communicate with that market. From a cultural perspective, even from a language perspective, what works, what doesn't.
Okay.
I mean, from a digital agency point of view, the way that we would approach a client wanting to get into a foreign market, it would be about talking to the local embassies. It would be about talking to people. So in the UK, there's places like the UK Trade and Investment. We would get them to generate sort of reports. Those reports look at who are the players in the marketplace currently. So we do our online research, we do our offline research, and it's understanding who are the players in the marketplace currently and understanding their strategies, starting to pull apart what it is that they're doing, because they're obviously successful in those marketplaces.
Okay. And there's also differing legislation in each country. You need to take that into consideration as well.
Yes. How relevant do you think traditional marketing principles are in the modern world, where the demands for a global strategy are perhaps a little bit different? I mean, for example, we're seeing technology, the internet being used as a mechanism for getting global reach, viral marketing, those types of techniques. Do you think that there is still a role for traditional marketing theory in today's society, or really is it a case of leaving those old textbooks behind and adopting new technological methodologies?
The internet is a hugely important channel for accessing global markets, but you cannot look at it as the only channel. Particularly if you look at the world in terms of the developed and the developing countries. There are certain countries where internet penetration isn't quite as advanced, where bandwidth issues are a problem. So yes, you want to look at it as a more cost-effective channel for communication, but it's not necessarily the only channel you can look at.
Completely. I mean, we've found historically that the clients that perform the best in a marketplace are the clients that have a holistic approach to their marketing. They value marketing in all its guises. So offline, online, social interaction, all of the different things that are available. And it's having that healthy mix, that balanced diet, as it were, behind your marketing strategy. Yes, the online market has brought us all closer. It's changed the way that we communicate with our target markets. It's changed the way that we interact and engage with our potential customers. But no, you can't rely on online alone. You have to look at your traditional media. The thing about it is I think online kind of conforms to a number of the old traditional principles. It's not brain surgery. It's just following a number of, you would always do your market research, but traditionally it would be more expensive to do. Online it becomes a cheaper proposition. It becomes real time. There's no sort of big delays. So I think it's about a healthy mix.
Okay. And in terms of what do you predict companies will do more of going forward in their attempts to gain a global presence? What kind of tactics, what kind of techniques do you think companies will start doing more of in order to get that global market share?
I think companies need to start looking more in depth into the market realities of every territory. And I think that a lot of assumptions have been made in the past, and there have been some horrendous case studies of where companies got it very wrong.
Yes.
Went in, made assumptions, and got them wrong.
Yeah.
So becoming more involved in the local markets, really doing the research that you need to do in order to understand what works and what doesn't in those local markets is critical for companies.
And Andrew, we've seen examples of that with Dyson themselves, haven't we? Because they've had phenomenal success with the vacuum cleaner, but they've not done quite so well with the washing machine, for example.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we touched on that. We were sort of talking about, could they have entered the marketplace in the way that they did with potentially a different product? And I think this kind of goes back to slightly where the product is the thing that really sold Dyson. It wasn't Dyson that sold them, it wasn't the brand, and that's why it kind of worked in the UK. I think had they had a different product, maybe they wouldn't have been as successful, maybe they wouldn't have then been able to have the global penetration that they've now had.
Okay, good.
I think, Dyson products are very buzzworthy, and in today's digital age, and with their word of mouth strategy that they've always used, I think that they have huge opportunity for growth in different markets. They're a premium product. They price themselves very high, and they can leverage the power of word of mouth as opposed to as well as word of mouth to actually create more exposure for their new and innovative products.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would also look at not just building on the brand, not just trying to get sort of Dyson synonymous with the vacuum cleaner and work it that way. I would also start looking at, okay, well, is there still, doing some market research in the online arena, are there still people typing in vacuum cleaner, this sort of stuff, and try and get yourself sort of exposed within the product and service searches rather than people looking for a Dyson. And expand their marketplace that way. So search engine optimization, natural search, that sort of stuff.
Okay, excellent, good. Now, we asked our viewers to a question relating to the case study, and we asked them, what impact has Dyson going global had on the need for product and marketing standardization? And we came up with 3 possible solutions for them to choose from. So solution A was no need has been identified to adjust either. Solution B was that extensive adjustments were required to both. And solution C was minor product alterations with extensive marketing alterations. Now, of those 3 solutions related to the Dyson case study, which of those do you think applied in their case?
I think without a doubt it's solution C. They have an incredibly good product. The product is talk-worthy. People are discussing it. They've used word of mouth as one of their key marketing strategies. What they need to do is they need to look at different approaches for market entry and market penetration in the different territories that they're looking at.
Okay, Andrew?
Agreed completely. It's definitely solution C. As we've said, I think all along, the product in itself is the thing that has allowed them to have the success that they've had. So it's understanding the territory and adjusting your marketing to suit that territory. So again, back to research.
Okay, excellent. Well, that just about wraps it up for our session on the Dyson case study. So, Louisa, Andrew, thank you very much for being with me today.
Welcome.